The lesson isn't always necessarily in the success. The lesson is in the failure.
Hello, you rascallions. My name is Fabian DeMarco, and you're listening to another episode of the Scar Tissue Podcast. Welcome. This is the first episode of 2019, and I'm very happy with how we're starting it out. So who I'm interviewing today, it's not even an interview, he's a friend of mine. It's a conversation, it's a chat. I'm trying to make things much more relaxed this year, by the way. So I speak to a guy named Josh Mansour. And Josh Mansour is the Daily M Winger of the Year. He's state and country representative athlete for the NRL. He's one of the biggest names in the sport today. People know him for his relentless style of football and his miraculous kind of recovery from two very terrible injuries. One of them was his ACL. Another one nearly blinded him for life. But this story, this conversation is much more about the man behind the athlete, the man behind the sport. This is a story about a man who's built from adversity for adversity. Now, I've known Josh personally for over 10 years. I knew some things about his past, and I knew that he did have it rough, but I didn't know the finer details until now. In fact, most people, except those inside his very close family circle, know what he talks about today. This is him in his most vulnerable version. He opens up about his childhood and his abusive father, which is something he's never revealed before. And you're going to hear things from him that you would have definitely never heard about or from him to ever talk about before. He bears his scars to the world, but he does it with pride because his past, that's what's allowed him to be so strong today. That's what pushes him to train harder and focus more diligently than any man next to him and anybody else in the game. You get to understand why he is the way he is now. And through our discussions, you'll come to understand why, against all odds, Josh keeps coming back from all the crap thrown at him and why he keeps on winning. So we break down some of the mental models to why he is the way he is. And you're going to get a glimpse inside the heart of a world-class athlete and understand the mindset that separates the best from everyone else. Now, one last thing. I want you to listen to all the way to the end of the podcast. Do not turn it off, because I stopped the recording and then I started again. I stopped it because our conversation ended, and then he said to me, I've never told anyone about my story before in that detail. And I wanted to record it. I got his permission, but I wanted to record that little last bit of that conversation because it's important to know why he said what he said, and it's important to hear my message to him as well. A lot of people, and especially men, don't like showing their vulnerable sides. I get it. I don't like doing it either. But when someone like Josh does it, who has a platform that can help a lot of people, it's important that he does, and that he does it for the right reason. So I wanted to give you a glimpse into that conversation as well. Okay? With that said, without further ado, let me introduce the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Mansour. Yeah. Yeah, no dramas. Over there.
Later.
Alrighty, we're off and going.
Oh, yeah.
Get off your phone.
Sorry, it's fucking with a little story.
Little story. You probably didn't fucking tag me in there with my 10 followers.
to, but you fucking ruined it, didn't you? With your fucking shit chat.
No worries. No worries, bro. So, mate, tell me, what's going on?
Let's go. Let's get it started.
Let's get it cracking. So, new car, new house. How's life?
Life is fantastic. Recently made the move to Penrith out west. So, when I was young, I was pretty reluctant to make the move out there. Obviously, been surrounded by my family and friends, but things have changed. Obviously, having the little one on board now, so I get to spend more time with the family. And moving to Penrith was pretty ideal. So,
what's it like having some land back? Hey?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
How many bedrooms is it?
It's 3 bedrooms. Yeah, 4 bedrooms. Sorry, 4 bedrooms. Yeah, it's a pretty big house. Pretty happy. Got very lucky. And when I first bought it, I remember taking a moment. I just walked in the house and I just let it all soak in, because I remember when I was growing up, life was pretty tough. And I just felt so appreciative of having my own home, and yeah, it just kind of really blew me away when I first walked in.
Yeah. What was that experience like? Tell me.
Oh, geez. Words can't really describe it, to be honest. I didn't think at a young age that I am now, being at 28, I didn't think I'd be able to own my own home, my first home. And my number one value in life is definitely my family. And to be able to provide for them and give them a home, that's one of my biggest accomplishments I've done in my life by far. And yeah, I consider myself very fortunate, very lucky. I'm very, very lucky to be in the industry that I am, I'm in. So, things have to work out, in your path, but saying that, it's still a long way to go.
Yeah. Well, it can't be all luck. Let's be honest. I mean, no one can get to how far you have with pure luck. In fact, you've got enough bad hands dealt to you through your life as well and in your game. So one thing that you did say is you didn't think you were going to have what you have by this age. Why didn't you think that?
Just the circumstances I was in. It wasn't that I didn't believe that I would. It's just I didn't think it was going to come so soon. Right. I always believed that one day I'll be able to achieve these things, but I didn't think it was going to happen so soon in my life. And just how my life has shaped up, yeah, definitely I've had my ups and downs, but I like to think rugby league is just like life itself. Like, you're going to face so many obstacles. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have joy. You're obviously going to go through the tough times as well, but it's how you get yourself through those times, especially when you're down. I think when you're injured, especially, it reveals character. If you can't get through it and if you don't believe you're going to get through it, then it's going to be a pretty rough road.
Well, okay, so we were supposed to do this in April last year I think it was the Hotel of Brighton or something.
That's
like that.
Right, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then I got a message saying,
that's right.
Can't
yes.
do it.
Yes, I remember
and I
that.
didn't know, because I don't really watch much football. So if anyone's listening to this who's a fan of Josh's, there's not going to be many football related questions. But, I saw the video clip though. It was serious. And then you went radio silent for months. I didn't see you again for like 4 or 5 months after that. So what happened, man?
Definitely one of the toughest moments of my career, my life. I definitely contemplated on giving the game away at some point. Definitely, no doubt.
Well, you were thinking about quitting.
Yeah. It did cross my mind a few times. I just thought that, was it really worth it? Just when I found out the diagnosis of the injury and all, and, having back-to-back major surgeries, it did take a toll on me. I'm not going to lie, but I guess I had a really good support system, especially my wife, Danny, and, my beautiful daughter. So they definitely got me through the dark times, but yeah, no doubt. Like, how can't I have thought that? But it's the game I love. It's what I dreamt of doing as a kid. And I think that drive and that dream and the hunger I had for the game really, there was no way I was going to quit. There was no way. I worked too hard to get to the point I am now, and I knew I had unfinished business, and I just took it as another challenge, and I was very, very lucky enough to get through it unscathed. And I remember the first diagnosis was that I could possibly have lost my eye. But, it was a high chance of losing my eye. And from the actual impact, it was just like a jigsaw puzzle under my face. It was just all shattered bone. And when the surgeon saw me, he was like, I've never seen this in any sports related injuries. And he's had thousands of surgeries done. And he's only seen them. He's quite this is when it blew me away. He goes, I've only seen this in soldiers with blasts and motorbike accidents.
Right.
And he's only seen 22 people that's had this horrific injury. So it was pretty full on to take in, and especially for my wife at the time when we were in the room, it was just like, whoa, like all this from rugby league, like from sport. Come on. Like when I was a kid lacing up my boots, you don't think about these things. You don't think about injuries. You just want to go on the field, have fun, kick the ball around. But unfortunately, these things happen.
Yeah, but it's that double-edged sword, right? Yeah. Because it's provided you the house,
of course, yes.
Brand new Mercedes I've just got driving. It's provided you a lot of luxury and benefit that you wouldn't have had, I guess. Well, maybe you would have in a different avenue, but at least not at the age that you've got it now. So that's why I'm kind of shocked that you were even thinking that it must have been something serious. Like what would have had to have gone through your head to think, I'm prepared to give up all that for, even if it was a moment that you thought that, I'm prepared to give up all that because this is taking such a big toll. So what hurt more though? I mean, obviously it'll be physically painful, but emotionally?
Yeah, that was
mentally?
the biggest, that was the biggest challenge by far. If it affected me alone, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I know I can get through it, but I knew it was affecting my family. And when that happened, that was kind of a bigger deal, much bigger deal.
What do you mean affecting your family?
Well, you have to understand, like being a professional athlete, you have to make a lot of sacrifices, and it's not only yourself that you don't only go through the journey by yourself. Like you've got a wife and family, and they're sharing it with you. They go through the ups and downs. They, when you're injured, they're the ones that are nurturing you. You can't go on holidays. You can't pick, when you want to go to have dinner or go out, have a night out. Like it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? So it's not only myself that I got to make sacrifices. It's also my family. And it was a big deal. When I got told that, I was like, geez, like I got a young baby girl. Like I want to see her grow up. I want to like be with her like throughout her whole journey in life. And, I definitely had to think about it, Yeah. So, but everything works out for a reason.
So take me through how you got out of that though. Cause a lot of people have faced maybe not the same circumstances, but of similar when you have hit a wall so many times or such a big wall that you want to quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And you can go left or right. You quit or you keep going. So what was it? What was it about your support? You said support. What was it around you? What happened that allowed you to get through that? What did you keep going back to? What did you claw back to? What did you reach into to move forward?
I think most of it was from my upbringing, the way I grew up. I got nothing handed to me as a kid, nothing at all. And in my whole life, I've learned that you have to work for everything you get. I went through a lot of adversity as a kid growing up. And I think that kind of molded me and kind of prepared me for situations like this, especially. But coming off the knee reconstruction the year before, I went through a kind of similar, obstacle. So I kind of faced it before, but, this was different, obviously. When I didn't have a family then, and that kind of obviously kind of changed my mindset. And again, it was the appreciation I have for the game. It was, rugby league is just pretty much, it's been my life, and I couldn't really toss it away that easily. And I think the first 2 nights when I was in hospital, I was pretty much deprived from sleep for 48 hours because I had to do visual observations. That's when I was kind of thinking crazy, and I was
right, of course.
Yeah, like, oh, is it really worth it? I'm not getting any sleep here. I'm in so much pain. But, I guess when I got home, it was like, all right, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to give this away? Do you want to really give this dream away? Like, people will die to be in your position. People work so hard to get to where you are. Do you really want to give it away like that? And I was like, no. Hell no. Instead of telling myself why me, feeling sorry for myself, I was like, okay, how am I going to get myself out of it? And just changing my mindset just like that, it was so powerful for me. I was already on the board thinking, all right, this is going to tick off there. I'm going to tick off that week. I'm going to tick off that week, tick off that week. I already had my whole timeline of recovery planned ahead of me. And at first, I wasn't going to play rugby league for the remainder of the year. My season was gone. I was back playing in 12 weeks.
Wow.
And from being first told you're going to lose an eye, you I've only seen 22 people with this horrific injury, to you're not going to play for the whole season, you've got to have a rest, to, all right, well, we're thinking to get you back in 12 weeks.
And I love that. What you said there, which stood out to me, was your reframing of your question. Yeah. From why, which is meaning you're putting the onus outside of your control, right? I mean, it's why is it you're looking for the reason, the excuse, the cause of what's happened, and how says, well, screw the cause. I'm taking ownership. How are we going to do this? So then you're thinking forward as opposed to looking backwards or looking externally. You're saying, how am I going to fucking do this?
Accountability.
And you're putting that on yourself, right? Exactly. And you're taking what they call that the locus of control. You're reclaiming that. And now it's up to you to make it or break it. And I think what often happens when people go down the negative path and then go into this cycle, I don't want to use the word depression, but they become very spiteful of their lost careers and lives, is because somewhere along the way they lost that control. Somewhere along the way they started blaming life when it didn't work out the way it was supposed to work out, and they didn't take control. Well, you seem to have done that, though.
Well, that's why I just wanted to butt in there. Like, speaking of depression, like, in my industry, things could be going you could be on the biggest high. Everything's going your way, and then out of nowhere, you can just be struck by lightning and bang, you're like, and people would get stuck in this situation where they don't know how to get themselves out. They've never been faced with adversity. They've never had tough challenges in their life or, in their career. And then some just don't know how to handle it and don't know how to get out of this cycle. But what I've learned is when you're stuck in a situation, what other choice do you have, but you have to go through it.
And you learn that because of how you grew up, you think?
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely. I think definitely my childhood, and the way I was raised really helped me get through those tough situations.
So where was it? It wasn't Lakemba, was it? It was,
Yeah.
It was Lakemba?
I had I was going back and forth. Yeah. So I went, my high school and primary was in Lakemba. Yep.
And was that, cause I've never met your dad. When did your parents separate?
When I was like 4 or 5, I was living, down Port Campbell with my grandparents and mum.
You're living down in Wollongong?
Yeah, for a bit. Yeah. I actually went to primary in, Port Kembla.
Has you?
Yeah, I think I was only kindergarten and almost year 1, but my parents decided to get back together. Obviously spent a few years together, and then I think they kind of, yes, it was a very toxic relationship. They weren't like, it was more, for the kids. They kind of stayed together. And then I think it was when I was 15, 16 when they kind of, went their different paths. And yeah, I lived with my mother and my 2 sisters from there on.
So what made your childhood difficult then? What did you have to go through in order for you to become the man you are today?
Oh, well, I went for, I was brought up with domestic abuse. My father was, he was a drug user as well. I grew up with that, around that. I grew up in, a little housing commission house, and, the neighborhood wasn't too crash hot. There was a few different characters around there, but, saying that, I kind of just stuck to myself, and I don't know, ever since I was a kid, I've always been a love of sport, and, I've always wanted to pursue something in sport and professionally. I obviously played soccer first, but as soon as I laced up my boots to play rugby league, it's like I had this sort of belief and desire that I wanted to play in the NRL. I just wanted to do it. I didn't care how hard the path was, and it wasn't the easiest, but for some strange reason, I've always had this strong belief. It was like embedded in my mind that one day I was gonna play. It was, I can't explain it. I really can't explain it. I guess if you believe in something so strongly, I reckon you're already halfway there, no matter what goal you have, I guess.
And when you did reach that goal of finally playing, what was it like then?
Wow. It's like it's like a kid's dream. Everyone's dream, really. I remember before I debuted, that was my only goal I had, just to make NRL, just to debut. That was all it was. As soon as that happens, it was like, okay, what now?
Yeah.
It was like, when I was young, it was just zero perspective, you know what I mean? It was just all joy. Just love the game, just play. That's all I wanted to do, debut. But as soon as I debuted, I got even more hungry, and I was like, okay, I want to be the best. I want to be the best winger. I want to play for New South Wales. I want to play for Australia. You just set all these goals. I'm a big goal setter. I'm a big believer in that. And I feel like it's good to be a goal setter because you've got something to strive to, and it just keeps reminding you, it just keeps telling yourself, all right, you got to get there, you got to get there, you got to get there. And, it's not going to be that you can't just drop your dreams or drop your goals just because you're going to have a little hiccup along the way. You know what I mean? You just got to get through those moments. And if you do, then you're eventually going to get there.
You got now correct me if I'm wrong here, you got the Dally M Winger of the Year.
Yep.
You play State of Origin.
Yep.
Play for Australia.
Yep.
So you've ticked those goals.
Yep.
What drives you now?
Obviously I want to.
Are you still hungry?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Well, I haven't won a premiership yet. Right. I still got so much unfinished business. I still want to play Origin. Even though I got a first taste for it, I still want to do it. I want to do it even more. Playing for my country is one of the greatest honors I could ever have achieved. Like, it was just, this country, I have such an appreciation of this country. We are so lucky to live where we are. We've got a beautiful country here, and to play for it, was definitely a proud moment of mine. But yeah, premiership right now, that's the number one goal on my mind at the moment. And I'll do whatever I have to get there. And I want to get another Dally M Wing of the Year trophy. That's driving me even more. Obviously when the season starts, or before the season starts, I look where I am. I have a sit down with myself, and I think, okay, what do I want? I list it down on a piece of paper, and boom, that's what I want. That's what I want to achieve for the 2019 year.
Right. Going back to before you got signed and you debuted. Now, I remember you told me before it wasn't all roses to actually get picked. You kind of got let down, right? So when you're playing for Rabbitohs, when we first started kind of hanging out and stuff, you were playing for
Souths, yeah.
Souths, right? For the was it Toyota Cup?
Yeah, I'm 20s, yeah.
Something like that. Okay, so what was that like? So what was that? Tell me the road to even getting to that debut.
Yeah, so I remember I was 18, just no club picked me up at that point in time. By chance I got told there was an open tryout at Ryde for the North Sydney Bears, who were the feeder club at the South at the time. I went down, played 3 games and I played 2 games, and the coach tapped me on the shoulder and goes, "Oh, don't worry about the 3rd game." And I'll go, "Oh, that's it." Like, he mustn't have liked me. I was thinking all this kind of stuff. And, after he named, I think there was only 7 guys that got picked, and I was the first one getting picked. And so I was buzzing after that. And I remember going down to the trial, and everyone went down with their mates and stuff like that. And I went down with my mum. So I was like, I was trying to hide myself in a way.
Mama's boy. Look at you.
Yeah, pretty much. But then it felt like everything just took off after that moment. I played with the Reggies for a bit, reserve grade, sorry. And then I got the choice to either play on the 20s for Souths or still be with the Bears. And I took obviously the Souths, play on the 20s there. Played a couple of years there. I got picked in team of the year, in 2010. Played junior Kangaroos that year as well. And that following year, I was fortunate enough to get, a preseason contract to play at South, train at Souths. I don't think I think what let me down the most, I don't think I was pretty nervous. I wasn't confident. For some reason, I just wasn't confident. Also, every week that came by, I was always looking at the team list. I was like, every time the team got named, I was always waiting for my name to get picked out. We went for a big hit with our outside backs that year as well. Everyone was dropping like flies, and I was like, all right, surely this is going to be my moment. Surely this is my moment. Surely this was my moment. But that played on my mind so bad that my performances when I wasn't going that good on the footy field. And for some reason, I don't know why I warranted to debut. So it never came, unfortunately. That year never came. At the end of the year, Souths pretty much punted me. Didn't want my services anymore, which was totally fine. No hard feelings there. And, ended up getting an opportunity at Penrith in 2012. And that year I debuted.
What clicked then? Because your career from that point started really going quite quick. Like you achieved a lot within a short period of time. What clicked? Was it just the opportunity? What was it? Did you change anything? Did you change a routine?
My routine stayed the same pretty much. Yeah, I really didn't change too much, but I just remember I don't think I handled that preseason as well as I thought I would have. I guess it was just a bit of a shock to me, and I didn't have any confidence for some reason, which I like backing myself. I really have a strong belief in what I can do and what I face. But that preseason, I just wasn't as confident as I normally was for some strange reason.
So how'd you find it? How'd you find it after that?
So obviously I learned my lesson. And when I went to Penrith and I started my preseason there, so that end of 2011, I didn't worry about the things I couldn't control. And I think that was the biggest thing that really affected me. I was worrying about all this stuff. I was worrying about who was getting picked. I was worrying about why I'm not getting picked. I was worrying about why isn't the coach talking to me? All these worries for no reason. I was just doing my own hitting. And then when I got to Penrith, I was just kind of like a fresh start, you know, I'm starting from scratch now. I'm just going to go to training, head down, work my butt off every session. And if I get picked, I get picked. The only thing I was worrying about was getting myself on the field, making sure I'm hydrated, making sure I'm getting a good sleep, making sure I'm carved up, ready for a big game, and just putting in the performances to win a game.
Controlling what you could control, build your routines, execute the routine,
exactly.
And keep moving.
Exactly.
Right.
And as soon as you start worrying about things out of your control, that's when you're just going to fall. Like,
that's when the anxiety happens. That's when it gets into your head.
Exactly.
Right.
You get zero peace of mind.
Yeah.
And peace of mind's a very big thing. Like, you want to be, preparation is king. Like if you go into something you're not prepared, you're not confident in what you do, then what happens? It shows straight away.
Every time.
Exactly.
So, your mum, is she proud?
Oh, proud as punch.
Yeah.
She's a bit embarrassing at times. If Danny was here, my wife, she could tell you a few stories when she's watching from the sidelines, what she does. But, she's been one of my number one supporters, throughout my whole career. And, she still comes to all of my games, loves the game. And, she's awesome.
You smile on your face when you talked about your mum, man.
I'm a mama's boy, man. What can I say?
Boy, clearly. Well, look, she drove you to that game when everyone else rocked up with their friends. And I don't know how many of those boys got signed, but they're not here, right? So, where do you have to go to when you start feeling you're not as hungry anymore, or you start doubting yourself? What place do you take yourself to?
Oh, that's easy. Yeah, I'll definitely take myself to when I was a kid again. Just the hunger, the desire, that mindset I had, like knowing that what I wanted to do. Like it was just like my academics. Like I didn't really commit myself well in high school because I knew that I wanted to just prove myself in sport. It was something I always wanted to do. And it was always something I always loved. And when things are tough, especially now, and when I do kind of stray from the path, I kind of just, all right, listen, like snap out of it, like be grateful for what you have. Imagine, like put yourself back to when you were living at home, how hard it was, how, you didn't have all these things you have now. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm extremely grateful for what I have. I'm extremely grateful for the life I've got given to me. But sometimes, you do get, when, I guess for a perfect example, 2016, this year was pretty much one of my best years of my career. Played City first, City Origin. Then I got picked to play New South Wales. We played a great final series. Unfortunately, we got beat by Canberra. Got picked to be 2016 Dalian Wing of the Year. And then I got married. Then I got picked to play for Australia over in the Four Nations in England. So I was on the biggest high, right? The biggest high. Nothing could ruin my year. Nothing. And then from some freak accident over in the UK, just the day before my wife was going to fly out, I get stuck with one of the worst sports injuries, like with the ACL, cruciate, torn, gone. I was like, what the hell just happened? It was so hard to take in. I was like, I remember sitting in the room, and this is probably when you're most in trouble, when you're stuck with, in the four walls and you're surrounded by your own thoughts. And I could not believe what just happened. I could not believe it. It didn't feel real. Did not feel real. I think it just sunk in as soon as I got the scan done. I was still trying to be as optimistic as I could be. Got the scan, and unfortunately it broke the news, and it was like, wow, like what it turned out to be a great year. Like it just came crashing down. Right. It was crazy. But yeah, so I guess just always be grateful for what you have and count your blessings, because you never know when, just like that.
How does that sort of stuff shape the decisions that you're making now in terms of, like, I don't know, do you guys get like some sort of guidance on investments? Because you hear stories all the time about athletes that make money and it's gone by X time, and you gotta, you're all athletes to have a short span that their earnable income is going to be, and that value is there, right? So they have to earn sometimes their whole lifetimes of money within X amount of years, and that could be gone in a moment. Do football clubs offer you guys some sort of guidance or advice or something to help steer?
Yeah, they do. There's so many services that we can access through rugby league. Like that, in that aspect, like we got no problem with. It's just investing in the right areas, of course, and just being smart with your money. Like I remember when I kind of first debuted. It's
like a Land Cruiser and a Merc.
Oh, that's my mate. Oh, the Merc's my idea. The Land Cruiser's my wife's. All right.
Barefoot Investor. Keep going. No worries.
I need to read that book. Apparently, it's good.
Keep going.
So I guess when I first kind of debuted, like there was zero care factor on what I was doing with my money. It was just kind of enjoying life, going out with my mates, spending.
But you didn't have money growing up.
No, I didn't.
So that's normal.
Yeah.
But well, I'm not saying it's good, but it's normal, because I know, listen, people that I know, I'll say for myself, similar sort of circumstance, had nothing. And as soon as I started getting that paycheck in,
you know what to do with it.
I spent it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I always told myself I wouldn't, because I'd seen what people in my family had done and what circumstance that put us in by spending when they didn't have. And as soon as I got money, spending it. And I thought, if I ever get X amount of money, I'm going to invest it. I'm not going to spend it. And what did I do? I went and fucking spent it. I just was like everything, just tickling my ego, tickling my little ego.
Bathhouse in Wollongong?
Oh,
is that your local?
I was working, mate. No. I had to get out of that place. I didn't know. But I had to spend it. At the end of the day, I just spent it. And then you hit a point and you go, that's just wasting it. So
yeah.
And same thing happened with Mike Tyson, right? Like he went through $200 million
crazy
in 10 years.
Crazy. Sickening.
Well, it's the same story. It's just when you haven't got it and then you have it, you don't know what to do with it. And then you can tell yourself as much as you want, unless you have a lot of, I suppose, attention, awareness about what you're doing. And as much as you think you might, I think most people don't, and I'm a victim of that. You spend it needlessly.
Or you learn the hard way.
And that's what ends up happening, right? So what'd you do? What'd you spend your money on when you first got a paycheck?
Oh, jeez.
Because you had that piece of shit car, that silver thing.
How bad was that thing?
That was terrible.
That was a rust bucket. I remember.
You started earning some proper money. What did you do?
Oh, jeez. Oh, obviously living at home, so I had I didn't really need to pay rent much, or, my mum was covering my ass for that. But yeah, it was pretty much going to the cross, going to the casino. Yeah. Not much gambling, just like drinking with my mates, you know, partying. That's right. I did end up getting an upgrade on a new car, but, I leased it. Stupid option. I leased it. I was paying off this lease for like 6 years because I was just, it's just stupid. It was so stupid. I had no idea. But yeah, obviously, like you live and you learn. And I guess the older I got, you know, I've always wanted to get a house. You know what I mean? I ended up moving out, got a unit. So, you know, things. Say it again.
So you learned. You had to go through
Definitely.
it, but you learned what
I didn't go through the you know, I didn't, again, like I knew, like I didn't have much money growing up, so I knew how valuable it was, you know what I mean? I saw my dad was a pretty bad gambler, so I saw him spend all his money, you know, he was a, you know, he loved alcohol as well, so I saw him drink a lot of alcohol, you know what I mean? Like those kind of experiences as well was like, you know what, I don't want to end up like that. I looked at my father and I was like, I don't want to end up like that.
Were you ever making decisions that reminded you of him?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that was my biggest fear. That kind of it was like, ease up, pump the brakes. You don't want to end up that path. You know what I mean? Not so much gambling, not so much like partying, or like maybe like going out a bit more, like a lot. Yeah. I think I was like, there was a point where I was like going out almost every weekend. So my debut year, the following year, I was like, I got a bit confident, a bit cocky, didn't accomplish anything, you know, I got a bit ahead of myself, had my head up my ass, but, I broke up with my wife, for a while, well, she's my girlfriend then, and I was kind of going out for a fair bit. I was going out like on Wednesday night during the week. I was going out, on the weekends. I remember sometimes I was going out on a Friday night and we had training on a Saturday.
Wow.
I couldn't do that now. No way in hell. I love my sleep too much. But yeah, you look back then and you're like, far out. Like, how did I do that? Like, it's just crazy. You know what I mean? Like going out like at the time I was like, I didn't even pick up on it. But now I look back, I was like, geez, man, like honestly, what were you doing?
Yeah. Like, young and dumb, right?
Exactly. And kind of just caught up in the hype and stuff. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's where the sabotage can happen, though. So you got to be very careful, right? That you don't do something that one wrong decision, and you would have seen it better than anyone in football. One wrong decision ends it.
Well, I had a pretty good support system around me then as well, because I was like one of the youngest in the team, and my current coach is an assistant, Cameron Serraldo. I remember he used to try and pull me in line, come stretch. Have you done your rehab exercises? Why are you going out in the middle of the week? And I was just so arrogant. Like, you know what I mean? I just kind of just brushed. I'm like, hey, I'll be all right. Don't worry about me. I'll be all right. I've got it all in check. Don't worry about me.
Yeah.
But like, he was always looking out for me. And now that I'm in his shoes, when he was, I'm
you got the kids. You're doing your rehab. You're doing your stretching. Yeah, when are you going out?
I'm 28 years old, and the team that I'm in, like, I think the average age is like 23, 24. And I feel like a fossil, like being at 28. How bad's that?
Oh, I'm not going to go there. Dude, do you still see your dad much?
Yeah, not much. Nah, unfortunately. Kind of kept my distance from him. if it was like, I forgave him for everything he's done. You know what I mean? Like he obviously wasn't the best father to me or my sisters or husband to my mum. But saying that, yeah, I've forgiven. Like, there's no point.
Did you say it to him? Did you forgive him? Did you actually sit down and?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've had a pretty lengthy conversations with him, and I've tried helping him out here and there, and but communication, I kind of don't get too close because he kind of tries to take advantage of those moments.
Yeah, I bet.
It's sad to say, but it's reality. You know, I'm not the only one that comes from a broken home. You know, it's modern day. Like, heaps of people are going through it. So
yeah, well, I think 2/3 or something. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. Well, I remember my parents broke up, and because my dad had problems as well, addictions, not in drugs or alcohol, but in gambling. And fortunately, he was definitely a great dad, great husband, and whatever else. But addictions take their toll on you as a family, and you have to learn from that sort of stuff. So it's good that you recognized the bad behaviors when they started to bite you.
Yeah.
You know, that when you started going out, you could see that this sort of stuff was happening, and you could play out the hand. You knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
If you kept going this route, sooner or later, the cycle comes back.
Big time.
And you see a lot when your parents have bad habits or addictions. I've seen a lot. I've got cousins, friends that have family and parents addicted to drugs, alcohol, a lot, right?
Yeah.
They follow the same path. And you think, but you've seen what it's done. Why are you doing it as well? And it happens, though. And this is going all the way back to what I said at the start, is sometimes you hit that wall and you got to go left, you got to go right.
Exactly.
You got to take control, or you got to say, that's the world and that's the fate.
Yeah.
And it seems like through your career, through your life, I want to say career, through your life, is something that you've constantly done. You've constantly been hitting these walls, and you say, well, do I give up and accept that this is fate, or do I just find out how I'm going to do this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And it looks like that's the repetitive mental state or model that you run through in your head, the program that seems to run through your head. And I think, from my observation, knowing you in this capacity for over 10 years, is something that I think is going to carry you for the rest of your careers. You just like that.
Yeah.
And it's something that definitely stands out. So as much of an athlete you are, I think your mindset to keep dealing with the bullshit and keep moving forward, regardless of anything else, is something that is always going to outlast anything you do from a career perspective.
Adversity, right? Like anything you do, like there's, like I've said it before, it's nothing's smooth sailing. No. Nothing. Life itself is just got to throw you a curveball here and there. You know what I mean? You just got to work hard and just put in the effort. Like, if you don't, nothing's just going to come handed to you.
And you got to go through that shit.
You have to.
It's a muscle. It's like any other muscle.
Exactly.
As you go through it, you get it stronger and stronger.
Muscle memory. Exactly. You go through it and then you learn. Bang. You're on. It just keeps yourself on the path. Right. And if you face that again, you're okay. All right. I know how to handle this situation. I've faced it before.
You did. You went from you had the ACL 1 year after.
Yeah.
Bang. You had your half your face crushed in.
Yeah.
You know, as screwed as screwed up. Well,
it was.
What do you want to say?
Yeah.
Not a doctor over here. But I suppose the fact that you've gone through these things so many times, that the reason the ACL and the reason why the facial injury was manageable, we'll say, from on your end, as opposed to someone like, I don't know, let's say someone else who hadn't gone through your upbringing, your life, is that you had built that resilience up, that muscle up so many times that by the time you were facing that wall, you could deal with it a little bit better. As opposed to someone who's never had to deal with that adversity before, and that's your first time of dealing with something really confrontational. Most people just shit their pants. Like, what the hell do I do? I have no experience, I have no frame of reference to go back to and say, how did I get through this before? What did I do? Can I do this?
Every scar tells a story.
There we go. That's why it's called scar tissue.
Exactly.
You've heard it.
I knew you like that one.
Hear that one, huh? Well, and this is it. And there's a thing in health psychology around self-efficacy, right? Self-efficacy is your belief that you can achieve a task, and your propensity to achieve something, to go ahead and fulfill a promise that you make, has to deal with the frame of references that you've made, that you have it, that have you done this thing or something like this ever before? Yeah. So the more and more times that you've done something similar, the more and more kind of like these little chains of armor that's kind of getting built on top of each other. your capacity to achieve increases in that thing. So the more and more you do, you've gone through this sort of stuff, the more you've overcome the hurdle, the more you believe that you can do it again.
Yep.
And this same thing happens when people set goals to lose weight and they don't do it. And every time they don't do it, their belief that they can do it diminishes. So therefore, they're more likely to quit. So I think it's important, and I say this to everyone, is just keep promises you make to yourself. If you go for something, if you're looking at something, aim for it, achieve it, and that's just going to make you a little bit better. And the same thing's going to happen with adversity and grit, right? The more and more you go through that sort of stuff, put yourself out there, you're going to get burnt, you're going to get those scars, but you're going to learn a little bit from it. And if you can keep moving forward, you're going to progress a little bit more. So when that big challenge happens, you're going to be ready.
I guess it's like kind of similar to when I train, right? It's all good and well when you're training fresh, you know, like you're switched on, you're under zero fatigue, you're nailing everything, right?
Right.
But when you get put in scenarios where you're gassed, you're fatigued, it's at the end of the game, you're like, all right, like I'm going to be thrown a massive, like I'm going to catch a high ball here. That's when those moments are so crucial, so crucial, right? And that's where you have to practice yourself, being constantly putting under pressure and those moments. And that's how you kind of really makes you, I guess not more resilient, but more, what's the word I'm trying to look for you?
Prepared. Yeah.
Exactly. Prepared.
You've simulated it so many times that the thing that would make you uncomfortable is now comfortable.
Yes.
I tell people to do this constantly. When I competed in Kyokushin, full contact karate, when I did judo, all this sort of stuff, it was because I wanted to get more uncomfortable with confrontation. I knew that one of my weaknesses was how I was handling certain confrontations in certain situations I was in. So I said, all right, well, this is the ball coming down. I want to simulate that experience as much as I can.
Yep.
And the way to do that is putting myself in an environment when I'm constantly uncomfortable, when I'm terrible at something, and I know I'm going to push myself mentally, physically, emotionally to that limit. So then I can kind of just climatize to it. You know, you build a level of comfort with that discomfort. And then when that real moment happens, when the live time happens, you're ready. And, so I tell everyone, if there's something that you're uncomfortable with,
you have to attack it,
simulate it. Go
100%.
through it as many times as you can. It's the only way you're going to be ready for it.
110%. And I went through a similar thing with swimming. Like I've never been the strongest swimmer, believe it or not.
You look like you'd sink like shit.
I'm a stone.
You and your cousin.
I'm a stone. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And I remember like my first preseason, we were big on swimming. Like we were swimming every week, and man, I was terrible. Terrible. Like you said, I was just seeing straight to the bottom. I was like, instead of like swimming flat, like my ass was like pretty much dragging against the whole floor.
Again, your ass and your cousin's ass. J-Lo over here.
Oh, it's
Titanic moving.
Pretty embarrassing. Yeah. But, again, that was one of my weaknesses. That's one thing that I absolutely sucked at, but to get better at it, I'm just going to have to face it. And I was like, you know, with swimming, it's like, you have to get your technique right. You got to get your breathing right. You know what I mean? Like it's all these things that I didn't know at the time. And once I started practicing and just attacking it and, you know, just getting used to the water and comfortable with the water, I started getting good at it. And it's one thing. So whenever I knew I had swimming during the week, I wasn't scared. Like leading up to it, I was like, oh God, here we got swimming again. Bloody swimming. I can't fucking stand it. Sorry for my language. And, so now I just kept practicing it, kept practicing holding my breath, doing a lot of lung busters. They're not fun, but you know, like they're good for your breathing, if anyone wanted to know. And, it becomes the norm.
There you go. Now you're Ian Thorpe. There we go.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that.
Doing laps in Port Kembla pools.
Drowning at Port Kembla pools.
Yeah, right. But I agree, man. And, it's something that, do you see other guys in the league approach things the same, or are you different to that?
Hard to say. Like,
do you guys speak about this sort of stuff? Like, I can imagine people at your level of sport, there has to be something different about how you deal with those high pressure situations. You have to be at some point built and resilient to that level of pressure. I mean, it has to, right?
Yeah, yes and no. Like everyone's got different, like you got to think of it, it's a team, right? So everyone's got different personalities. Everyone's got different characters about themselves. Everyone's got, everyone's different. Everyone's different. No one's going to go through the same path. No one's going to handle the same scenarios, the way you are. So I guess that's when it comes to a team environment, like being an individual, you have to help each other out. And that's what makes your game so like flourish in a way. You know, it's not like it's tennis. It's not like it's golf where you can just rely on yourself. You know what I mean? If you've been put in situations where it's high pressure and, you're relying on this one putt that, okay, this is the putt I need to get this in to win the tournament, for instance. Yeah. It's like playing rugby league. You're down 2 points. You got 1 minute to go. You need 13 blokes to, to pull through to help you get to the other end and score and win the game. So I guess in a way, everyone's got to rely on each other in terms of, I guess going through like hard moments, high pressure moments. And, of course, when that happens, everyone has to get comfortable with being in those situations. Like last year, right? We're conceding that many early points. Like we're losing almost every first half, and we'll call it the comeback kings for a reason. It's a great tag to have, but the last game we played Cronulla, we were down, I think 18 or 20 nil in the first half. And this is we're talking about a final game here. You can't put yourself down by that many points and expect to win. It's like it was weird. So it's like we're conceding so many points, but in that whole time it felt like we're going to win it. We're going to win this game anyway. It doesn't matter how many points. It's weird, right?
Well, because you had come back so many times, you just expected that. That's what you're going to do. It became
like a trend or a pattern. It was a weird pattern we couldn't get ourselves out of. But sometimes the roll of the ball doesn't go your way, and unfortunately it didn't. Especially that last game, and you can't win big games given that early lead.
So how does that change the team or the coaching? What happens then? Do you guys does someone come in and say, okay, we can't do this anymore? We have to change things? What do they change?
Yeah, of course. Well, it starts at training, right? So whatever you're doing on the training field, hopefully it's going to replicate and transfer to the footy field when you're playing, in the game. And I think that's what we're trying to really do this year. We're competing on everything we do. So if there's no competition, how are you going to better yourself, right? If everyone's constantly competing against each other and getting the best out of each other, that's how you're going to get improvement. And I guess the moment we leave the theatre, the moment we hear what we're going to do, what we're going to work on today, everyone gets their boots on. As soon as we touch that footy field, it's like you're switched on. That's it. You're ready to go. We're coming straight out the blocks. We're not leaving anything in a tank. Instead of just saving it for the last bit of the training session or the last bit of the game, we're bang emptying out from the first minute. We're leaving everything out.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. So once again, you're simulating the constant need to compete from the get-go. The gates go, you're out.
Exactly.
So listen, you got a kid, and I'm always constantly thinking about how I'm going to raise my child and the things that I want to. What beliefs I want her to have and not have, and what do I like in society and not like in society?
Scary world.
What do you think about all this participation trophies and everyone?
Do you really? Does it warrant a gift like becoming second best or hardly competing? Like does that warrant a trophy? Really? Like, is that encouraging is that putting the right mindset and encouraging kids to, be as best you can? Like, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think it's just an excuse to kind of, I think it's a way to kind of boost a kid's confidence. But is that the right message to send? I'm not a big believer.
Well, this is kind of what you were saying before, right? That you had to go through a lot of the crap.
Doesn't teach that at all.
Yeah, you don't.
At all.
Because if you live in a bubble and you think your life's always going to be good, when you face that face injury, that knee injury, what are you going to do then? Everyone has to stop playing? No. Life goes on without you. So I agree. I think that doesn't teach his children the grit, resilience that you've relied on in your career to get you where you are and to get you over those hurdles that you've had to face so many times.
Yeah, it kind of takes the shine off the person that's actually, becoming first, second, third. You know what I mean? Like, I've got a participation trophy, I didn't even have to do anything. Like,
what for? Why even try?
Yeah, like,
you don't want a generation of that. You don't want a generation that never had to really try. They never had to push themselves or get hit.
It's like making the grand final, right?
Yeah.
You've made it that far. You've lost. You're going upstage to receive a medal. Oh, thank you. What the hell is it like? I don't. What's that medal for? Oh, for coming second. Yeah. Like you've worked your ass off. You went through the horrible preseason. You've done bloody all those games. You competed all those games, and you get to the final hurdle and you lose and you receive a medal. Yeah. It's gut wrenching.
You don't even want it. You have to, but you don't.
You have to as
respect.
To be respectful, of course. But it's, to me, it's gut wrenching. Like, I see it on, I haven't played in the grand final yet, but I see it whenever I'm watching the game, and I can just see the team that loses. It's just, it's an awful feeling. Awful.
And how's Sienna?
Oh, yeah, she's great. She's full on. She's a roller coaster like her father.
14 months?
Yep, 14 months, yeah. So she's going to be a big sister soon. The wife's pregnant with her second child.
Congratulations.
Thanks, yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I know.
I'm glad you saved it for the podcast.
Yeah.
Is this an announcement? Batuta? Where are the guys?
Yeah, so we're pretty excited. It's going to definitely that's another curveball.
Hey.
There you go. Like 2 kids, one at the moment. It's like I think I'm doing a pretty good job, but geez, I'm not going to have no time for anyone else. So it's gonna,
How long is she?
She's 12 weeks this week. So yeah,
3 months. So she's going to be. You'll have. What's the age difference between them?
Oh, jeez.
I'm not going to do the maths because I just embarrass myself.
Yeah, me either.
But anyway, you've basically 2 kids around the age of
2.
2. Yeah, being under 2. Same as me then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I know,
You
crazy,
follow?
eh? I know.
You're following me? Following my stroke, eh?
Good swimmers. Oh, yeah. It was actually a bit of a surprise when I first found the news. I remember I came home from training and, I remember I was cactus. I was just lying on the floor in my room, and, Danny came over, and like Sienna, she had Sienna in her hand, and she was holding the pen, and I didn't even click. I thought it was one of Sienna's toys or something. And she's like, give it to Daddy, what's this? And I looked at it, I was like, no.
Yeah.
My first moment, my reaction wasn't like, it was more, I couldn't believe it.
Disbelief.
100%.
It's not like the first one, right?
Yeah. Like, and then I was like,
what were
oh
you
my
trying?
God.
Were you guys trying for another?
Nah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Nah.
That's why. So we had the same reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it was just like, whoa. And we're both looking at each other with our eyes
You
like
gotta digest
beaming.
it.
We're like, oh my God, this is
another
going
one.
to get full on. It's happening.
You just got over that one big battle.
Oh,
They're
no.
finally okay, and now another one's coming in.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a good way. It keeps Sienna and young Bub together in age, and we said we wanted to have 3 kids overall, but you never know what happens. I said if God blesses me with 3 girls, maybe we'll try for a 4th, try to get a boy. But
Yeah,
that is a bit reluctant on that. She's also.
Oh, you have another girl?
We don't know yet.
Oh.
We don't know yet. My gut's telling me it's a boy. Everyone else is, these wives' tales. Oh, if you're beautiful, you're looking beautiful, you're having a girl, or if you're looking ugly, you're having a boy. My wife's like, oh, thanks, but this time it's everyone's saying girl, but I'm going against the same boy.
Yeah,
I'm saying boy.
Yeah, if we get another girl, and everyone keeps asking, you have another one to go for a boy, and nah, I'll probably end up with another girl anyway. So I'm happy with.
Yeah.
I'm happy with 2. So the way that we found out the gender, so my wife got one of those balloons, those little ridiculous balloon things.
Yeah,
I don't like any of that sort of stuff.
But people have made businesses out of it. It's crazy, right?
It's stupid. Anyway, she goes, I wanted to do it. Whatever. And then this is God saying you shouldn't be doing this sort of stuff. She was leaving the house with my daughter Willow, and Willow started causing a ruckus, and she accidentally, I think my Willow grabbed the balloon and pushed it against the wall, which is brick, and popped. And so that was it.
Of course it did.
That was a surprise.
Surprise!
That was it. We didn't know. We found out before we were supposed to find out. We're supposed to unveil that this big. Yeah.
Oh, mate.
What a waste of money and time that whole thing is. So how's having a girl changed the way you look at things?
Oh, wow. Geez. I guess obviously, being a father, especially having a young girl, it's like, you feel like you're more connected to having a daughter than you would have a son. I know the way that I act with Sienna, I wouldn't act the way if I had a boy. Because, I'm more like, yeah, whatever, darling, you're okay. I'm a softie, you know what I mean? But if I had a boy, I'll be so stern because just, what the world's like, you know what I mean? You want you don't want him to be all mushy and, cuddly with a boy because you got to be masculine, you got to be strong,
Hey, it could come out gay.
Well,
You got to be okay with that.
Well, yeah, no,
You gotta be okay with that.
you know what? Like if you just had to toss that up, didn't you? But anyway, but that's another curveball. But yeah, like I said, it's the greatest gift, and it's being a father. It's just an unbelievable feeling, and
Give you another.
sure,
Like,
throw it away,
No, I'm not saying
throw it
that.
away.
There's nothing bad. I'm saying it gives you more boost in your jetpack, right? To play and to do more.
Oh yeah.
One thing I found having a kid was ego checked me. It wasn't about me.
It's not 100%.
It's about them now.
Yes.
As much as I like to say it wasn't always about me, the reality is most of my decisions in some way came back to, well, how does this help me or affect me? Now it's really,
that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing I learned. Like every decision I make and everything that I do is some way, in some shape or form, affects my family. And being a professional athlete, again, sacrifices, right?
Yeah.
Some days I come home, I'm zapped, I'm so exhausted. I don't want to do anything. I just want to lie on the couch, but you got a baby crying. No, don't worry. Don't care if you're tired. You got to get up. You got to like attend to your daughter. You know, she's your number one. You know, she's your apple of my eye, and you can't rest for a minute. Eh? Yeah. It's just, yeah. All your selfish desires, you can't rest. You just can't.
You'll find that energy. You'll find that little bit.
You'll find something. Yeah. Well,
just for her.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to complain because all the women out there and mothers, they've got the toughest gig.
Oh man,
they've got.
You try.
They're the real heroes. They're the real heroes.
So Sienna, is she walking around you or crawling around you?
Well, she's 14 months and she's still crawling. She started to stand up. She's a bit of a late starter, but hopefully she'll start walking soon.
All right.
Hopefully.
And she's loud and saying stuff and saying
words.
Very
talkative. Yeah, very talkative. Yeah.
Right. So on the weekend or when you're not training, do you get to spend a few hours with her?
On the weekend?
Or I don't know. I don't know what your schedule's like, but when you're not training, you get to spend a couple of hours just there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
How burned out do you get just with an hour or 2 hours trying to keep her entertained? And I think my wife is doing this all day.
I know.
I am ready, like, how do I get this girl to go to sleep right now?
I know. How crazy is that, eh? And I'm complaining over 1 hour, 2 hours, and they're stuck with, you don't think about that, eh? You're like,
you got it easy.
I know.
Anything over there.
And she goes,
you go for an hour, forget about it. They got
think about how I'm stuck at home, you know, I've got a crying baby. I can't escape. I can't do what I want. I can't go get a haircut. You know, I've got a baby with me everywhere I go. I can't do the groceries. Oh, okay. I'm sorry that I complained.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Check yourself.
Exactly right. Exactly. So, yeah, some days it's just like, wow, far out.
And, how does how you grew up with the parenting you had, shape the way you're being a parent now?
So I went through when Dad wasn't around. So I was obviously the eldest of three. I had my two younger sisters. I didn't have the greatest relationship growing up with my sisters because I couldn't separate being a father figure. I just felt entitled that I had to be the father figure, the only boy in the house, and I had to kind of keep him in check. You know what I mean? And I was kind of never the brother. I was always thinking like, oh, you know what? I have to try and act like a father figure. I've got to try and like lead by example. I've got to try and, make sure like they're doing their homework, make sure they're going to school, you know, make sure they're doing all the right things, right? But that kind of clashed with my sisters and we didn't really get along, you know what I mean? So they weren't coming up to me asking for help, you know what I mean? It was kind of, our relationship was kind of strained in that way. But as soon as I moved out, I kind of wasn't that father figure anymore. I wasn't trying to, you know, tell them what to do. I was the brother. And like I noticed them, they started coming up to me for advice. They were hanging out more. And if something was troubling them, they'll come and talk to me and, you know, seek me for like to you know, just kind of hang out and kind of, bring their spirits up. But, I guess now the way I've kind of grew up in that household, I want to give the best, of everything for my kids and my family. I don't want to go through it. I don't want my kids to go through a broken home. I want, you know, I want to be a happy marriage with my wife. Like, you know, it's not always perfect, right? In relationships, you know what I mean?
Everything takes work.
Exactly right. So I guess you just got to do whatever you can to kind of just, yeah, work out all your arguments and, you know, you're always going to be on a different pace sometimes. And, I guess it's just kind of keeping that happy home and giving them the best, that they deserve.
Right. And if you could give Sienna and your new kid no money, no network, no name being the kids of Josh Mansour.
So that's what I fear, right? Like, when I grew up, all I had a ball. That was my pride and joy. I would go down the park. Now you got iPhones, you got tablets, you got all this technology. You've got all this, all these privileges. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Back when I grew up, I didn't have any of that. You know what I mean? I was lucky enough to have asked for a toy. I was lucky enough to own a pair of Adidas shoes. Like, you know, I couldn't get that. I was wearing the same clothes pretty much most of my childhood. I remember growing in school, like everyone had Nikes and Adidas, all these mad sports brands, and I was rocking these awful K-Swisses at the time.
Well, at least you had a K-Swiss.
So,
my mum used to get the shoes from came up with the 4 stripes. What is this?
Oh, yeah, the 4-stripe line.
Wasn't even, maybe it looked like Adidas.
Oh.
My first phone, everyone had a Nokia, and I finally got my mum to get me a phone. I was like 15 or something like that. And she got me a Bosch. You know, the power drills and the dishwashers? A Bosch.
Yes.
I couldn't sell this thing at school. I couldn't sell it. But, if you took away all that stuff now, so you took away everything.
Yeah.
What 3 beliefs or values do you want your kids to have?
Ooh, that's a very, very tough question. To be honest with you, I really haven't thought that far into it, but definitely gratitude. I definitely believe that's a big one with me. Like, no matter, don't always feel like you've got a sense of, you deserve everything. Like entitlement, sense of entitlement, definitely. To always be grateful for what you have. Your health, like you have a roof over your head, you got a bed to sleep, you got a family. Like that's those things those things get pushed aside, right? Like when you start getting, you know, all this technology stuff, you don't even think about that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Also, and ambition. I think growing up, I had a pretty strong sense of ambition. I really knew what I wanted. I always had a powerful mindset and what I wanted and what I believed in. And also just, of course, like family. I should put family number one because that's definitely my number one value in life. And, I think, you know, you are what your family is. You know what I mean? If you're having a happy home and, you know, I guess it all starts at home. You know what I mean? You know, it might not be perfect. Everyone has their different, experiences with family, but I really believe that family is everything. I just believe that's what I strongly believe in.
Man, it's so awesome to see and hear that from you. It's awesome to hear because I know your story. I know you on a personal level. So I'm happy to see how you've come so far as that kid in that tougher upbringing and who was facing a lot of adversity, who didn't even know if this football thing would turn out, to become a man who today has more than a house, has a home, has a beautiful wife, beautiful child, another one on the way. You're achieving those things that you set out to do as a kid and the things that have driven you throughout your life. You're providing security for people you care about. You're providing an avenue of a future for the people you care about. You're providing love. You're providing the things that were a lot of the times absent for you growing up, in somewhat of a chaotic environment. You're creating a level of normalcy again. So to that, I say congratulations.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming in today.
Thank you very much, mate. Really, really enjoyed my time here.
Did you?
I really did, yeah. It's good. It was just good.
You're so formal.
It's a good excuse. Well, you reckon it was formal today?
I reckon you were pretty formal today.
You reckon?
I reckon.
Oh, you know what? It's the first time I've been on a podcast.
No, it's not. I Googled. No, you've got like 2 other podcasts.
Lies.
Well, I'll pull them up. Actually, I'm not going to give them free advertising. Here we go. I pulled it up before. One of them's the MJ Bale one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It was
that was more of an interview setting, I reckon. That wasn't really a podcast.
Well, they released it as a podcast. That was something else.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, it was too. Yeah, no, it was released as a podcast. You're right. Sorry.
Hopefully I get a free suit for that one.
Well, hopefully this turns out good.
Did you get a free suit for that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, pretty cool. Thank you, MJ Bell. Shout out. If this is still on.
I'll be fucking editing the shit out of this one, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah. Nah, definitely, definitely good to see you, brother.
Yeah, man. We'll have to catch up with the family soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
And, obviously no drinks going on for anyone.
3 more weeks, eh?
3 more weeks. Wow, it's done.
I'm never going to see you again. You know that.
That conversation with Josh Mansour, he talked about something he never talked about before. He went into detail about his past and that abusive relationship with his father. So no one, including myself, had ever heard that before. I pressed stop record on the interview and we kept on chatting. We started talking about why he decided to tell that story, and we started to talk about why it was so important for him to do so. There's a lot of gems of information in that conversation, and I'm very glad that he allowed me to press record again and record what we talked about. So do not stop this audio yet. Let it play out for the next couple of minutes. And once it's done, shut it off, get on with your day. But please keep on listening for the next few minutes.
Yeah, like you have this power to kind of influence people. Face. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy to think. Like I never thought I'd ever have this much influence on someone else's life. You know what I mean? When someone comes up to you and really values your opinion, and you can tell when someone's really connected with you and really taking in everything you say, and that is just, for me, it's just so I feel so privileged and so grateful to have that.
Words have power, my friend.
100%, without a doubt.
One thing you do or say can change someone's life forever. And the position that you're in, this is what I was saying. I'm so thankful that you were open and you shared your stories, because people need to know that there's another way. People need to see someone like you who's gone from where you were from and have achieved what you've achieved, that there's a way of doing it. That
I believe there's no greater feeling than helping someone else. I get some. I really, really enjoy it. Like if it's giving clothes to the poor, if it's paying for someone's coffee. Last week I paid for. I don't want to. I don't even mention that. But just helping people. Like I just really I get a kick out of it. And like there's no greater feeling. And I think it should happen more. I reckon we should, like in this world, we should do as much as we can to help one another, because it's creating a better world for our kids and their kids.
100%.
Well, it might be like it's a lot of people just out for their own. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, but
I think it's that point of self-actualization. Most of our lives is spent looking in the mirror and looking at what they can get back, right? So it's not until you look beyond the mirror that you start. You get what it is that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Most people are so caught up with themselves and what's best for them that when they even achieve things, it doesn't really fulfill them. And you don't get that sort of feeling until you start helping others. It makes you feel so much more important. It's different. It's a different feeling that comes to it.
Definitely.
And it becomes a lot less about, what value does this bring to me, as opposed to that selfless nature. The fact that you didn't want to talk about just then, because I just did hit record, the coffee situation, is because you're not doing it for fame. You're not doing it because you want people to go on Instagram and talk about what you're doing.
Yeah. I don't want that.
It's selflessness. And that is true. That to me is true giving, is when you're not doing something for the fame or the recognition. You're doing it because out of the value it's important to you. And we've talked about this many times. You are the sum of your value, or your values and your principles. That is who the hell you are. That your decisions you make should always be based on that. And as soon as you start changing them, you're someone else. But you should always stick to the ones you have. And if you see someone that needs help and you're a type of person that helps, you help them. And I think it's good that you're now moving yourself into a position to do that exponentially more. And that ties back to what I was saying, that I'm glad you shared this story about your dad, because I didn't think you were going to go that far.
I was pretty hesitant today.
But I'm glad you did, because you are in a platform that not many people get to be in. I'm not talking about this podcast, but in life. You're in a platform that only a small percentage of people ever achieve. And what do most people on those platforms, what do most people do when they're on those platforms is wasted. And those of us who aren't on that become frustrated. I know I become frustrated, because you have a voice now that you can actually create a difference for certain people. You said you love helping people. Well, you're in a position that you can do that a lot more. So by opening up and telling this story, and not just on my podcast, but on anyone else's that you think is worth the integrity of the grain of salt that allows you to do it, I think you should do it. I mean, not in the wrong way, but if it's natural, I think you should do it, because that kid who's going through that same problem as what you were and what you went through can now see there's a way out, can now see that someone like him has achieved something he didn't know was possible, that he always knew he wanted to become successful or get out of this problem or get out of this pain, but he didn't know that there was a way to do it. He had no example out there of someone who has done it. and now you can become that example for them. So, and it is very powerful. It's very powerful, and not in a cheesy way, not in a way that you have to generate money or income or anything from it, but in a way that's actually helpful to these people, helpful to the world. So I think, one, I'm happy that you shared this story. 100%, I'm very happy you shared it. But two, I encourage you to not run from it. I encourage you to embrace it and use it effectively. Use it as part of your arc, part of your story as Josh Mansour, to help others. That's the only reason. Not for your ego. Use it to help others. And you do that, man, the returns are going to be tenfold. So,
well, that's what I want to keep on doing, mate. Obviously, I'm living the dream. I love what I do, and I'm very fortunate and lucky enough to do what I do. So, obviously, they don't run. The dream doesn't go forever. Obviously, it's got to stop at a certain point. But you know what? End of the day, I'm not scared of change. I'm not scared of evolution. And when that day comes, you know, I'll definitely be ready to accept it.